The Molly May documentary is so brutal.
And I was like, can I have a look at the photos on your phone? And he wouldn't let me go on his phone.
Cheater, 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 cheater.
Well, it's just drinking, isn't it?
Hello you gorgeous donuts. Today we're going to be covering the new Molly May documentary that has recently dropped on Amazon. It's called Molly May Behind It All, and it consists of 3 episodes basically talking about Molly May's life and all the drama that's been unfolding in it lately. If you don't know who Molly May is, she basically became mega famous after she appeared on Love Island, where she got together with somebody called Tommy Fury, and they basically became like the new Posh and Becks of this generation. And as of recently, they've split up, and this documentary just documents the entire kind of journey of that happening. So in this video, we're going to cover every single episode. I'm going to give my thoughts on Tommy and Molly's breakup and give my thoughts on the documentary as a whole. We're going to talk about Tommy's response to everything and how that one girl who Tommy Fury supposedly cheated with is still hammering home that they slept together. Let's just get into this. So the first episode doesn't mess about at all. It starts at 100 miles per hour. Molly basically says that the last few months have been the worst of her life. She straight away brings up the breakup so people watch and know that she's going to mention it. And they kind of do a trailer teasing like the behind the scenes of the breakup. Like they show this argument that Molly and Tommy have.
I'm dealing with the falling apart of my relationship. I'm going to hang up the phone if you're going to be like that. I actually am not having this conversation with you.
And straight away you get a sense that this entire documentary is going to be very raw and very brutal. I'm actually surprised that Molly agreed to do this because they mention at the start of the documentary that it was meant to cover Tommy and Molly's kind of journey to getting married. However, since they've recently broke up, Molly has decided to do the documentary alone. So this is happening very fresh after them splitting up. So obviously the emotions are going to be raw, and I don't feel like she's even going to really know how she's feeling about it. It's great for our audience to see her like this, but I wonder in the future, like if they do get back together, if she would actually regret like anything she says in this. It's just an interesting discussion point straight away, because I wonder how Tommy felt knowing that the Amazon really didn't want anything to do with him anymore. They just wanted to talk about everything from Molly's perspective. Later in this video, you're going to see possibly why that is. But it must be a very like dystopian experience, because a breakup is hard enough, and then having like, you know, your ex talk about everything in front of the world. It must be just so strange. On the topic of things being dystopian, the documentary then shows Molly watching like TikToks where people are talking about their breakup, which again must just be so weird. And I think it'll help to put in like perspective for people that these are actually just people. Like I reiterated that in the video I did about Molly and Tommy's breakup. Even though Molly May and Tommy Fury have all of these followers, they're just like us. They have one arsehole and 2 eyes. It all comes out the same way. And you can tell the documentary very early on tries to establish that so people can kind of relate to her. Like they show loads of moments of her just kind of going about her daily life doing normal things like everybody else. There's this scene of her just ordering something at McDonald's.
And then a mozzarella dipper share box, please. That's everything.
Mozzarella share box. That's a controversial one. I've seen enough. 1 star. Terrible documentary. I hate this woman. These bloody influencers with the mozzarella dippers. Get them gone. Sick of it. What is this woke shit? Order a quarter pounder like the rest of we.
I love food. Like, I actually live to eat.
So do I, actually. When I eat, it's so I can stay alive as well. So I'm already kind of relating to Molly on a lot of things here. I know who my queen is. Not Katie Robertson, I'll let you know that one. For free.
So many people that are around me, like, they're all so like, oh yeah, I'll just get the salad. And I'm just like, that could never be me. If it's salad with chips, then like...
Honestly, same love. I don't know why everyone around us speaks an American accent, but... hey ho. Sometimes when I watch these kind of documentary pieces on real people, I sometimes think they fall a bit flat. However, with this one, like even if you're not a Molly May fan, you kind of instantly feel connected to her, because straight away after she kind of mentions everything about the breakup, the show cuts to how her and Tommy first met on Love Island, and you realise like they were just everyday people when they met basically.
Tommy, the public have decided you should go on a date with me.
We met in a way that was completely like unconventional.
It's Tommy, yeah?
Tommy.
I'm Molly, yeah, Molly May.
Wait, why do I want to start crying here? I'm not even like a Molly May stan. I don't mind her. But like what were you trying to do with you? Right? I'm just a boy. This is actually sad. Now, there is one comment that I picked up on when they first met that Molly asks Tommy, which becomes super relatable later on in the video.
We're very similar people. We have a lot of the same likes and dislikes.
Are you a drinker?
Not really.
No, neither am I.
It's like, I just want to make a note of that. because that becomes super crucial in the entirety of their breakup. The show then cuts to Tommy and Molly having an argument on the phone.
Oh, Tommy. Hello? Tommy and I have still been communicating because of Bambi. I actually am not having this conversation with you.
Bro, they were only on the phone for 5 minutes and they're already arguing. How are my king and queen gonna come back together if they can't even last 5 minutes together? One thing about these two, if you didn't know, they do have a child together called Bambi. And obviously, like, when you break up with someone, you just want to kind of block them, just not see anything from them until you heal if you can. However, when you've got a child together, you can't do that. Like, no matter what, for the rest of your lives, you're kind of connected in a way until your child grows up to be an adult. But then even still, if they want to, like, host you at Christmas, then you've still got to kind of like be like, you're always in each other's lives no matter what, and that's what makes it so difficult for both of them. And it's actually really nice to see like people go through this in the public eye, because obviously these two are like millionaires and people can't relate to that aspect of their lives, but this is like a very real situation that they're going through. Like, I've been a child in this scenario. I believe that my parents split up around the same time as Bambi, so even someone like me who doesn't like follow either of these people can still relate to it, and I think the documentary does a good job of bringing you emotionally attached to them. One thing I will say is obviously this documentary was filmed like very recently after they did break up. It must be difficult for both of them to be on camera during this period. I don't really understand why they've chosen, or Molly's chosen, to do it so soon after the breakup. There's points in this documentary later on where I kind of feel uncomfortable watching it because I feel like I shouldn't really be a fly on the wall here. Molly then disputes claims that a lot of people have made, saying that their breakup is for PR reasons and bringing attention to our new brand called Maybe.
I just think it's absolutely bizarre that anybody would think it's a publicity stunt. I wish it was a publicity stunt, because that would be a lot easier, because it'd mean that my relationship's actually fine, but it's not.
Now, I actually think Molly May is like an insanely, clever person, and obviously she has a strong connection with her audience. I don't believe for 1 second that these two have broke up and the main reason is PR. Like, I don't feel like these two would do this to their child. Like, they seem like empathetic people. They've never seemed like super fame hungry. They're just famous and doing well. However, I do believe Molly can still use this as like a mechanism to make our brand bigger. For instance, she talks about how all of the comments on our new brands page is about if she's wearing an engagement ring, because some of the photos have been taken like last year, so she's still wearing a ring in certain photos. Now, I have Photoshop. I know that you could like get rid of a ring if you really wanted to in the space of a couple of seconds with generative fill. And I'm not saying that she's doing this on purpose, but if she does leave our engagement ring on certain photos and then not on certain photos, it creates more comments, which then pushes our brand further into the algorithm, meaning it gets pushed out to a new audience. Molly May will know all of these things, and whether she's doing that on purpose or not, it's still pushing awareness for our brand to new audiences. And that method is kind of replicated by the producers at Amazon, because they kind of hook you in with the breakup aspect of our life, and then they kind of slowly feed in her building a brand, basically to hook all of that audience in to know about a brand. It's insanely clever, and you can tell that they're both good parents because they both really care for Bambi, their daughter. There's various shots of them on FaceTime together, and they seem to be in communication quite a bit. Molly then goes into like the stresses of like, having a newborn baby and also trying to balance work, etc., and how this entire part of her life has changed her life forever. Like, she's never going to be the person she was having a baby ever again. And I think topics like that are really good for like moms to hear, because like, seeing someone else go through the stresses that you do. However, like, a lot of young mums have it a lot more stressful than Molly, because obviously Molly doesn't have to worry about a lot of things that young mums have to, like the main thing being money. Like, children are so expensive, and also she has a lot of help, and some mums don't have a lot of help. I've seen people on social media kind of complaining, like saying that Molly isn't as relatable as what people are making it out to be. But I don't feel like in this documentary she's trying to be like a focal piece for young mums. I think she's just talking about her own experiences, in my opinion. There's a really sad moment in the documentary where Tommy FaceTimes Molly just before Bambi goes to sleep, just to see her before she goes to sleep.
She's just coming down.
Good night, my girl. Daddy love you so much, okay? Have a good sleep, and Daddy love you.
Bro, what? Are you trying to make us cry? When I went into this video, I was like, you know what, this is gonna be a sound one to do. I'm not gonna get emotional. What? I didn't cry this much at the Iron Claw. Ridiculous. And it is like a really good example of how you can still be, good parents despite not really liking each other in the moment. A lot of times when, couples split up young, they can kind of use the child as like a manipulation kind of factor against the other person, and it becomes really toxic. They can also sometimes drive like you away from a certain parent, and all of that stuff kind of really has lasting effects when you get older. So at least on camera, it's nice to see that they're not toxic. Although Bambi must be wondering, like, sorry, who is the 5 people in my creche right now filming me? Why is there a man with a boom microphone? What is I'm trying to sleep here. What, you filming a baby? You pedos? Get out. Must be so weird. We're then 20 minutes into the first episode, and Molly starts to really open up about how she feels about Tommy when she's in conversation with her mother.
It's all so fresh, and like, I feel really traumatized by like the last couple of months, and like when I see him, I see all that trauma.
It's very clear that Molly hasn't healed, obviously, because it's been a matter of months since all this happened. And I don't know if it's like really strong of her that she's been able to do this documentary. Also, the fact that a couple of million in the bank, I mean, that doesn't hurt anyone. Oh, I don't know if it is too soon. Like, if you're going through a breakup right now, do you feel like you could have a camera crew following you around? I know that Molly May is like more used to cameras following her, but for anybody, it's still very raw and very traumatic, no matter how much money or how famous you are.
I never ever wanted Bambi to come from a broken home, and because I did come from a broken home.
Say you'd stayed together and Bambi's growing up so quickly, it wouldn't have been long before she saw unpleasantness.
I feel like I shouldn't be listening to this. This is so raw. Like, genuinely. I wonder how Tommy feels watching this. Obviously, I know some people aren't going to have sympathy for him, but this must be incredibly difficult to watch from his perspective, even if he has made some mistakes, which we're going to talk about later in this video. I also think it's interesting that Molly has kind of been in the same situation as what Bambi is in now. One thing I will say is that, like, if they don't get back together, I don't think it's as bad as what she might think it is now. Like, I can't ever remember my, mum and dad being together, so it just makes no difference, really. I think it's a lot harder when your parents split up when you're conscious of things. Like, I know people whose parents have been divorced when they're like 10 or 11, and I feel like that's a lot harder because it kind of really does break up your family dynamic and everything you were kind of raised with. It's also really interesting because Molly May's mom says that she's really fond of Tommy, like she really likes him. However, the conversation turns quite sour towards Tommy when they start getting deeper into it.
As much as I'm very fond of him, over the years there were so many occasions that I witnessed myself that made me so beyond worried about you.
Now, that's a really damning thing for a parent to say, like, beyond worried. Bearing in mind, she's probably kind of, sugarcoating her words because she's on camera a little bit. She'll not be saying what she really wants to say. But the fact she's felt comfortable to say that, what was going on behind the scenes? Was Big John Fury just coming in the house every single day, just fucking swinging, I don't care if it's a Tom Ford book. I hate it! God, could you imagine him being the grandfather of your child? Molly then basically admits to the entire world what the issue was between her and Tommy and why they split up.
You're saying issues, specifically?
Well, no, it's just drinking, isn't it? I never ever wanted to be with someone that drank.
Oh, you even saw when she, went to say drinking, she hesitated because she was like, should I say this? This is, kind of, very, very close to home. It's clearly affected her and clearly, affecting Tommy, and it's probably very personal to Tommy. I actually saw that Tommy Fury came out the day before this series aired and talked about his issues with alcohol being the reason that he split up with Molly.
All I've been seeing for the past 6 months is cheater. Complete and utter. The reason why me and Molly broke up because I got addicted to alcohol and I couldn't be the partner that I wanted to be anymore. And it kills me to say it. It's true.
Now, to come out on a podcast and say that, that's obviously very personal to him, and I imagine that was very difficult. The timing is a little bit weird, though. He could have came out earlier and said this when all the allegations were flying about. However, I believe Tommy never really wanted this to come public. He's just saying it because he knew it was in the documentary and he didn't want people to hear it from Molly first. It's better if he just says it. I honestly think that's the reason he's went on this podcast. It's just a really weird move considering he really never really does podcasts. So I think he kind of wanted to soften the blow a little bit before it's actually announced on the documentary, because when I heard Molly say it on the documentary, I'd already heard it from Tommy, so it didn't hit as hard. Obviously, it's still really sad, but I think the only reason he said this is because he knew it was going to come out eventually. Now, regarding the cheating issues, like, you kind of just have to take Tommy's word for it. But Molly's mom did say that Molly, like, every single night would go to sleep worrying that something was going to happen. Like, obviously, what does that allude to? You know, your fiance is out drinking, going to nightclubs. Like, what are you worried about? You're worried about him maybe kiss. Like, that's what it's kind of alluding to here. So it's hard to kind of trust him that he hasn't cheated, and a lot of people, like, don't trust him. But one thing I do really feel sorry for is, like, his alcohol consumption obviously is a huge problem and is taking over his life to the point where his fiance feels like she needs to split up with him because of it. Alcoholism is a really, really deep issue, and it is a really serious issue, and it basically is like a drug addiction. I've had issues in the past with alcohol, and it honestly consumes you, and it's really, really difficult because you can kind of use it as like a numbing thing. Tommy talks about how the year previous to this one was like his best year ever, and then he got an injury which meant he couldn't train, and he basically had alcohol to kind of cope with, you know, the pain of not being able to do what he loves. Now, that might not get some sympathy from some people, but the fact that he's had to rely on alcohol is so sad. And bearing in mind that is a human being. Yes, he's famous, yes, he's got loads of money, but he still has, you know, feelings, and he's still hurt, and it's just sad to see that this is basically ruined his life to this point. But also, on the other hand, it's really hard being in Molly's position, because when their entire life is taken over by alcohol, sometimes they're not fun to be around, and sometimes when it gets to a level where it's severely impacting your life, you need to make a decision whether you're going to kind of cut ties or not for the benefit. Like, you have to be selfish sometimes, which Molly seems like she's being now. God, this is getting deep. I hope you hope you've bought some Tampax tissues, guys. Jumping in head first with this one. However, it is interesting to hear Molly's perspective on Tommy's alcohol consumption.
It got to a point where I wasn't really looking forward to anything because alcohol affected it so much.
Which is, like, really, really sad to hear, obviously. But it's interesting that she's basically saying he doesn't have an alcohol addiction. She's basically insinuating that he was kind of in control of him drinking. Like, he chose to drink. It wasn't like he needed to do it. Which is interesting, because that doesn't kind of give off the vibes that it was an addiction. It gives off the vibes that it's more like he's just choosing to do it, if you catch my drift. Molly says that she begged Tommy not to drink at her sister's wedding, and then he went on and did it, and apparently, you know, it didn't end up well. And you can tell that Molly doesn't really feel any sympathy towards Tommy and his alcohol issues. And this is probably because she's had to deal with it for so many months or even years, where she's got to a point where she's kind of numb to it and she doesn't feel anything towards it. And also, she's mentioned that her mother kind of struggled with alcohol, so she probably just has a really negative relationship with alcohol in general, that she's kind of just fed up with it. And she also alludes to, like, certain things have happened after Tommy has took alcohol, but she doesn't really tell us everything, and I think that's to kind of protect Tommy in a way, even though she hasn't really protected him at all. She's kind of just came out with everything. But I do believe even if Tommy has cheated, she wouldn't kind of reveal that, because later on in this series you see that she still has hopes of them being together, and obviously that being in the media just wouldn't, like, work well for them.
It caused so much friction because I would always jump to his defence.
Why? I don't know.
Because he was your life partner.
Saw the good.
I had to.
And it's interesting because obviously Molly's mum has been through, like, you know, issues with alcohol, so she probably can see it a lot from Tommy's perspective, which is why she probably, you know, has sided with him in the past. Obviously that wouldn't feel very nice for Molly, because you'd want your mum to kind of be on your side no matter what. And you can even tell when Molly says, like, I don't know why you did that, she's clearly hurt by that as well. It's a really sad situation, and again, it feels weird to, like, kind of be listening to this, because this is such a personal conversation. But I mean, the drama, the tea, it's piping. British Gas have been paid this month because, oh my God, it is warming up in here. Molly then sits down and watches Tommy's proposal video to her back, and again, it's just really sad. Like, it makes us want to cry. But one thing I did pick up on when she was watching this is, like, a clear insecurity that is in their relationship. It's been previously mentioned that Molly would stay awake worrying about Tommy being out in nightclubs, and she also says this comment when watching the proposal video.
We'd taken some photos on Tommy's phone of him and I at the hotel, and I was like, can I have a look at the photos on your phone? And he wouldn't let me go on his phone. I was that oblivious obvious. And I was literally looking out of the window, like thinking that he literally had pictures of like another woman on his phone or something. That was what was going through my mind on the way to my engagement.
Now, I know some people will disagree with me on this, but I don't think this is the sign of a healthy relationship if that's a first thought. Like, clearly there's some underlying insecurities there within the relationship that would be a first thought. Obviously, it is weird behaviour from Tommy, but there was a reason why he was doing it. But for her to think, oh, he's instantly talking to someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel like my girlfriend would think that. Maybe I'm wrong, right? And let me know if I am wrong, because I'm not trying to say I'm right. These are just my opinions in this video. But that did raise alarm bells for us. She also says that they were going through a really tricky part in the relationship when Tommy did in fact propose to her. Now, to me, that kind of, from Tommy's perspective, he probably was proposing to her as like a last resort thing, because he might have kind of felt that the relationship was slipping a little bit, and he probably thought in his own mind that this would bring them closer together. Whereas in reality, like, proposing to someone doesn't paper over the cracks in the relationship. It probably just heightens them because you're getting even more serious. We then get our first feature from Molly's sister Zoe, and she's a really interesting kind of character in this documentary because she's just so cutthroat. She's so honest. She's no bullshit. She does not care that the cameras are there. Like, everything she says, you can tell it's what she really thinks, which is great for telly. Like, get her on Curry. Wait, why would she be on Curry? That's scripted. Get her on Love Island. Oh, wait, I think she's in a relationship. Just get her somewhere. Somewhere where there's a telly. I need more of this woman.
You want to be with 50% of Tommy, you don't want to be with the other 50% of him. You want to be with all of Tommy, not just his arms and his legs.
What does that mean? Why doesn't Molly get the penis? You can take the arms and legs. All I want's the face and the penis. Is that all right? Now, you can see, like, with Molly's reaction there, I don't know if that is alluding to maybe he's cheating. Again, that's a complete conspiracy. No evidence. I'm just trying to read people's facial expressions and people's words. Just a strange comment to make, because obviously these two will know everything, and they're only giving us so much. They're acting like Tommy Fury's like Harvey Dent in the Batman. You want to be with Harvey, but you don't want to be with Two-Face. Not at all. When he flips that coin, you're gone. Little Batman reference for everyone there. I actually have Batman earrings, right? I'm kind of obsessed. It's like a special interest of mine. Let it be. Molly then talks about all of the cheating rumours that are surrounding Tommy. My God, this just gets deeper and deeper.
I was getting messages from people about, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that he's gotten somebody pregnant. And then I was just like, where is this coming from? It was a lot of times of sort of last chance type situation. Last chance, last chance, last chance. There's only so much that you can take.
Which again, that just adds validity that he might have done stuff behind her back, because she's saying like, oh, I'll give you another chance. I'll give you another chance. But chances don't come into it if there's no substance to these rumours. Do you know what I mean? If there's loads of rumours on different days at different times, surely not everyone's got to be lying, right? Unless someone has just got like a death wish out for Tommy. Also, it's so interesting when someone of Molly May's stature goes through something like this, of how it's treated compared to someone just like from the estate. If this situation was happening on the estate I grew up on when I was younger, this would be all over Facebook. He'd be like, the baby daddies went off again. First thing on Facebook when you open it, that fucking Tommy, he's been shagging Mary from 2 doors down again. I told him if he did it again, that would be his last chance. Well, it's because you're Molly May, you get an Amazon documentary and about 2 million in the bank. This world's unfair. Unfair. Just quickly, guys, I do want to stop this video to say, if you haven't already, do consider pressing the subscribe button. Then you'll be a part of the Donut, the best community on the internet. This little corner of the internet we do videos like this that you can binge watch when you're bored. Go on, press subscribe. One thing that really did shock us, and it was quite interesting to see like a behind the scenes aspect of this, is Molly put the statement out about her and Tommy breaking up before they officially had broken up.
It was a situation of, if I don't post this statement, I am not going to do this. It needed to happen.
Holy shit. Now, that is very brutal if that is how it happened, how it's insinuated in this documentary. Can you imagine the anxiety from Tommy? You know, like, anxiety in general is awful, but imagine him waking up going, when did I do that? Did I break up with Ella? Was that in Revolution? Did I break up with her in Revolution, did I? That wouldn't have been one of his finest hours in the morning. Now, I do agree that it's brutal, and I don't know if I could ever, handle a situation in that way. I guess you never really know until you're in it. But one thing I will say is sometimes, when people are suffering and it's taken over their life and taken over your life, sometimes you do need to make cutthroat decisions, unfortunately. for the benefit of both of you. And listen, I like Molly May, but I do want to have, you know, objective opinions in this. I do think, you know, the way that she's broke up with them there and the way that she's got straight into this Amazon documentary, you could argue it is quite brutal. And I don't mean that in a negative way. That's just an observation I've kind of made. She must have just felt so disrespected that she, like, obviously feeling emotion, is treating disrespect with disrespect, basically just kind of mirroring the energy. Now, that is the end of the first episode, and we jump straight into the second one. And it starts off a lot chiller. It's more centered around her family, and you get to, like, have more time with Bambi, and you also meet a mother and a grandmother. And one thing I picked up straight away, by the way, her grandmother, horny. What a horny woman.
I just launched a new business.
Now, I've heard about that. Very nice. Sexy clothes. I remember Love Island, all that sexy business and
all right, okay, all right, love. Keep it in your pants. We get it. You're horny. Oh, very horny, Molly May's grandma. Very horny. Nice to see she's still got it though, right? The fire's still burning. Love to see it. She's definitely using this as like her Love Island, you know, trying to, you know, attract the local kind of hunk, a local 8-year-old hunk to ride the bus with. I don't know what old people do when they're flirting. What do old people, like, go to Morrison's Cafe and like suck a sausage in a seductive way? What am I saying? I don't know how old people flirt. I'm not in the game. One thing I know, though, is she's going to be a superstar down the bingo next time she goes. People are like, I saw you on that documentary. You're looking well on you. You're looking well. You've never lost it, love. Moments like this are a nice mood shift because the first episode was so intense. They're trying to make you get to know Molly a bit better. There's like a scene of her vlogging as a child.
Hello again. I hope you were very interesting to watch Molly's documentaries. Molly's homemade documentaries, Mum.
Oh. See, this is making me want to become a Molly May fan. Look, I've already got the Stanley. I'm basically a Stanley girly like her. All I need now is the hair bun, right? And a few clothes from Maybe, and then I'm basically a #1 stan. You learn a lot about her in this section, and like at certain points, somehow I actually relate to her. Like she talks about filming YouTube videos in her bedroom, and she like shows around her bedroom, and it's very reminiscent of like when I first started, when you're trying to like kind of fake things, like make your room look a bit better than it actually is.
Okay, so this was my bedroom. Just through here. It was a bedroom that I really felt like my career took off in. I started posting on Instagram when I was about 15, and I also started my YouTube around that time as well.
Like, this is so nice to see, because I also remember when I started doing my hauls, right, and they weren't taking off, so I had to switch to this, obviously. People just don't like to see me in a skirt, unfortunately, guys. What am I saying? I'm trying to make a joke. It's not even funny. Shut up! However, there is one part where she says that she, like, bought £400 worth of clothes to, like, review on our YouTube haul on our mum's debit card. Stuff like that. I could relate to. But it doesn't seem like she struggled growing up in terms of money. Like, I think, you know, she's from, like, a middle-class background. But she's certainly done unbelievable to get to the stage that she's got to. Like, I didn't know any of this about her, that she'd started off just vlogging on YouTube. I thought she just went straight on Love Island and then became mega famous. The main chunk of episode 2 is centered around the launch of a new brand. Basically, they're doing, like, a pop-up shop where they're kind of teasing the items from the brand. And there's nothing much to really cover here, apart from a kind of just working hard to get it ready. However, there is one thing that I picked up on what you said.
When it comes to work, I'm a complete perfectionist. When it comes to content, how I like to portray myself and like how I like to come across, I'm a perfectionist. But when it comes to everyday life at home, my house would not represent that I'm a perfectionist.
Now that is so interesting, because the fact that she uses in her own words like perfectionist of how she's portrayed online, like clearly she wants to manage every little detail of what goes out about her because she knows how people feel about things. And I feel like that might be a reason why Tommy maybe hasn't, you know, been interviewed in this documentary at all, because she doesn't want, she kind of wants to, you know, have a certain narrative going on throughout this, which, to be fair to her documentary, she can do what she wants. But I would have liked to have seen, like, at certain points in this series, like, maybe it's Tommy just talking about his alcohol thing to help people who have been through alcohol addictions themselves. That's just a personal preference. I know a lot of people probably don't want to see Tommy Fury at all, but this is just coming from somebody that is, like, totally objective, like, not a fan of either of them. I just feel like it might have contributed to the documentary overall. There is some funny part in this documentary where I don't feel like she means to be funny. Like, some parts are a little bit out of touch, but obviously she's been a multi-millionaire for years, so obviously she's not going to be, you know, in touch with everything.
That is disgusting. Sorry. I slipped on an avocado skin fully onto my bum. Basically, what you're learning about me right now is that deep down, I'm just one scuzzy girl. That's a really crap draw, to be fair. toothpicks.
I mean, it's not that crap of a drawer, to be fair. I feel like if that drawer was in my house, it would probably be the tidiest drawer in my house. Also, the fact she had like a little stain on her short and she was saying that she's scuzzy. Oh yeah, love. Honestly, never catch that in my house. How could you be so disgusting? Awful, lock her up. I'm Team Tommy Fury all the way. Moving on, Molly then turns up to the launch of her pop-up store. And one thing I will say is that Molly's life must be quite overwhelming and very overstimulating at certain aspects. Obviously, she doesn't have money issues, which again is very overwhelming. But like, just watch the footage of her turning up. Like, wherever she goes, there's people just screaming her name.
There's a million and one things that could go wrong with the pop-up. People leaving feeling like they have come for no reason and it was pointless, and them not being happy with the experience they've had inside the pop-up.
Now, I know, like, she'll gain little sympathy for that, and I don't have like sympathy for her. I just say is like, if like, I would have anxiety if that many people were just like this in me face. Like, you're not even like a real person really at all. Especially like, you know, if she just wanted to take like Bambi out for a walk, etc., and then you're getting like kind of papped, or like people are coming up to you with the phone, like, you must always be on edge. And especially with someone like me who struggles with anxiety, I would really like find it difficult to cope in these situations. Like, it's fine for someone like me where people come up to us and just talk to us because they still treat me like a person, whereas for some reason some people don't treat this woman like a person. Some people have like a weird obsession with her, such as in this video. Like, why is this person secretly filming like Molly May and like a family, I guess? Like, she doesn't know you're filming. This is really strange. Like, this is the guy in the profile picture. Like, imagine this guy just filming you, especially as a woman. Imagine she was alone. Like, you would feel really freaked out. Like, it's a really weird relationship some people have with her, where they feel like they're entitled to just film her without her consent. It's already like really scary, like, as a woman going out at night. Could you imagine like Molly May going out by herself at night? It would just never happen. She wouldn't be able to do it. Now, during this pop-up, she gets really overwhelmed because she says that nothing's going to plan. There's like this awkward moment where she goes out to greet everyone, and like the reaction isn't that great.
Hello, everybody. Hi, guys. Hello, everybody.
Ah!
Thank you very much for coming, guys. So nice to meet you all. Hope you have a really nice time in here. I'll see you soon.
Sorry. That's just... That strikes you to your core. Why did nobody say hello? Why were people just like, say hello? Something, someone cheer or anything. That was the most painful thing I've ever seen in my life. I can literally like watch someone getting murdered in a movie like really graphically and I'm fine, but anything remotely cringe, it just tears us apart. One thing I have picked up on in this documentary is she has a really interesting dynamic with her manager. You can tell that Molly is really emotionally invested in everything she does. You can tell she really cares about, like, you know, supplying our audience with something that she's proud of. Even though later in this documentary she launches her brand for the final time and it doesn't necessarily go to plan. But like, she's getting really angry because she can't say hello to everyone, and obviously that's like a nice thing. She wants to make sure every single person has like a fulfilled time. But our manager is very much more like logical. Like, obviously she's emotionally invested in Molly's journey because it makes her money and she's probably friends with her as well. But a lot of her decisions are very logical and she kind of cuts the emotion out, and she really does help Molly to kind of get to where she wants to be. I know myself, if I had somebody like this manager who was like totally invested in my journey and just give us like logical points when sometimes I might be thinking emotionally, it would really help. And it's one thing I've picked up on, that her manager is definitely one of the main reasons why she's became such a huge success. I know the problems that Molly May goes through to everyone else seems like very champagne problems, and a lot of them are, but some of the real stuff she's going through, like, she can't kind of ask anybody for advice. Like, you can't just go to someone and say, oh, how did you cope with having your breakup talked about by millions of people? Like, that's just not a normal experience. Like, all of the stuff that she's going through, she's kind of the only person that can experience it, unless she's got loads of celebrity fans who are on her level, which is very difficult. Now, episode 3 ends with Molly May kind of talking about if she's going to get back together with Tommy. However, before we get onto that, episode 3 actually starts off with the actual launch of a new brand, Maybe, which sells out in under 24 minutes, which is like absolutely mental, and it just shows the power that Molly May holds. I've saw people on TikTok have like searched the stuff she's been wearing in this documentary, and it's like sold out straight away. Like, the Molly May effect is wild. I wish I had that effect. Like, if I wore this, right? Imagine this just selling out right now. The power that would hold. God, I would have such a good TikTok shop account. Oh, God. I'd be going all-inclusive to Gran Canaria next year. Not just bed and breakfast, thank you very much, sir. However, when people actually received the items, the reviews were really, really bad.
I really don't want you to look at your phone this morning. Avoid social media unless I tell you to look at anything. If I need you and I ring you, please answer.
Sorry. That's like the worst thing you could say. I've praised our manager up until this point, but don't say that. If you said to me, by the way, don't check your phone, instantly I'm going to check my phone. You think I'm going to be like, all right, well, everything must be fine. You don't want us to check my phone. The whole world must love me. No, it's like the Simpsons movie. They're all going to be outside your house with pitchforks. That just stresses me out even more. I'd rather just see it for myself the first time. Basically, everyone's complaining about the quality of the stuff being terrible.
The blazer bobbling. It has got so much bobbling already.
I've seen people wear it for like 2 days and the quality's shocking.
That is so bad.
Primark could never. Primark would never do that, honestly. It's where the girlies need to shop from now on. Thank you very much. Maybe you should go to Primani. Right, you wouldn't have these issues. Or if you did, you'd only spent a tenner on it. Now, in my opinion, she doesn't really give that great of a reason for why this happened. She basically says that the company that she was working with, they signed on for a certain material and the company ended up using a cheaper material. She doesn't really take that much responsibility for it. She kind of just palms off the blame to them. Now, normally, with any startup business, you're allowed to make these mistakes, and then by the time of you blowing up, you would have hoped that you've got it all right. Whereas Molly May, she's got the luxury of it selling out within 23 minutes, so that's amazing. However, all of our mistakes when starting a business are like there for everybody to see. You can't make any mistakes when you're Molly May. It doesn't matter if you're a startup business, you've got to get it right the first time, which I'm so surprised that like this happened. And you can tell at this moment in her life, like everything is getting on top of that. There's this one scene where she's trying to look after Bambi, her child. And Bambi's been a little bit hard to deal with, as kids are, and then she asks for her dad.
There's no biscuits or anything then if you don't eat your tea. No, you're not having a big bit.
It's absolutely wild that these things are being filmed for like total strangers to see. Like, I could never do this to my family. I'm not saying that she's a bad person, because clearly she's comfortable enough with our young daughter being on camera, but I just could not do this. This is really, really raw, this documentary. But as I mentioned previously, like, there's no toxicity, or it doesn't seem like there's any toxicity, like, from the parenting aspect between Molly and Tommy. I don't know if this third episode was filmed a bit later. Obviously, it was filmed later than the first episode, but like with a bit more time in between, because she speaks a bit better about Tommy in this episode.
I think at the minute, because he's trying to like better himself, so he's like really working on him. The good stuff outweighs the bad, so he wants to make things right.
So you can tell more in the third documentary, like the progression from the first. The first one, she didn't want anything to really do with him. Whereas now, and I think it's because the emotions are so raw, she's probably just working this out on camera herself as she's speaking. She seems more open to having Tommy back in her life from a relationship aspect. I just feel like I get a vibe that she wants to be with him. She just wants him to improve himself and not treat her the way that he was treating her. Like, there's a part where she's really stressed in this documentary and she says there's only one thing getting her through it.
To be perfectly honest with you, I think what's getting me through is the hope and the idea that Tommy and I, well, we will end up back together.
What? What? That's not what you were saying in the first episode. Now, I have another theory, right? Of course, you love my theories. You don't. You're probably typing right now, I wish this fucking guy would shut up. So is the men. Oh, it's the men thing and they know everything. But if you didn't know, there's going to be another 3 episodes that come out in April time. Now, obviously, this is the last episode of the current episodes that are out. It's very much driving the narrative of we could possibly get back together here, and this could be shown in the last 3 remaining episodes. Because she's alluding more and more to the fact that she wants to be with him. Of course she does. Like, she's only human. He's literally the dad of her child, and also like a fucking Greek god. A Greek god with an alcohol problem. I'm not sure if Zeus had that issue. And you can tell that they really finish the entire first part of this series kind of building up to that. Like, they have the realest conversation of the entire thing towards the end of this episode.
He's now sent me a text message saying, we're just going round and round in circles and we're not moving forwards. Up until now, I had the mindset of we will end up back together one day, but right now we need to be apart and he needs to work on himself. But how it's looking this week is that maybe we are actually just done.
Don't say that, Mol! Don't do that to me! There's 3 of us in this relationship. Sorry, I'm getting too intense. It's only them, sorry.
Obviously, you're going to find it hard to move forwards because you're still in touch with each other every day. You've got to be incredibly strong in this situation.
It's very clear. Like, this is such a raw and honest conversation, like such a private conversation, but it's very clear that Zoe, I believe she's called, Molly's sister, doesn't like Tommy. It's clear. And it's mentioned that Molly speaks to Zoe about everything. Like, she speaks to Zoe about stuff that she speaks to nobody else about. So clearly she has a very good picture of what has been going on, and she doesn't like the way that Molly's been treated in this situation. And obviously Molly is so emotionally invested in this because it's her entire life, whereas Zoe's got like a decent perspective of not having the emotion, so she can just kind of see it as it is. And it's just a really sad situation. And again, I know I'm reviewing it, so I'm very, what's the word? I'm being quite hypocritical here. But I feel like this should have happened behind closed doors, in my opinion. I don't feel like this need to be filmed. I don't feel like us as the audience needed to see this. It's great for Molly May fans and stans that want to become even closer to her, because this documentary is going to bring you so close to her. I know there was intense fans of Molly May before, but this is going to like even heighten this times 100. So it's great from that aspect. But I just hope for Molly's mental health, it doesn't become too detrimental, and also from Tommy's mental health. I hope this documentary doesn't drive them further apart. Maybe it could offer like a middle ground where Molly might not have been able to express these opinions to Tommy, and somehow putting out an Amazon documentary can kind of make it hit home for Tommy. Like, I don't know if that's the reason why she's done it. It's only she will know the reason. Again, the 2 million doesn't hurt, or however much it was. I don't know how much it was. I'm just suspecting it's 2 million. Don't know why I've got that idea. But I have enjoyed it, even though it has been quite intense. The only thing I feel is a little bit weird is they do leave it on a cliffhanger if they're gonna, like, kind of rekindle their relationship.
Come out right this second.
No, my God, what? Molly May and Tommy Fury kiss on New Year's Eve. That is so bad.
Like, yeah, it's a banging trailer, and it makes us want to watch the rest of these episodes when it comes out. But the fact it's been so deep, I don't know like how I feel about it being left on a cliffhanger as if it's like a TV show that's scripted. Do you know what I mean? That's just my opinion. If you haven't seen the video they're relating to, Molly May and Tommy Fury were actually seen kissing on New Year's Eve. Like, you can see them there. Like, whoever took this video is an absolute bastard, and they need to get them out of their lives. But you can see they're very close there, and obviously this is after filming of the documentary, which obviously doesn't help the claims that this was a breakup for PR reasons, which I still, even after seeing this video, don't believe it was. But I am just intrigued how this documentary dropping is going to affect their relationship, because it's going to put more strain on them, in my opinion, than it's going to do good. Because now, not only have you got your opinions and your family's opinions in the situation, you've got every single other person who now knows so much more information. And it's weird how the remaining 3 episodes aren't going to be like at the end of the month or next month. It's weird how they're like months away. It kind of gives them time to see the effects of this show and see if they can rekindle the relationship and build that as a narrative into the last 3 episodes. Why am I having a voice break? I'll never know. Every video it happens. But yeah, like I mentioned, Tommy Fury's only response has really been on that podcast that I mentioned earlier. There is a few other interesting parts in it.
People don't know the half of it. If it's not come from my mouth or Molly's mouth, it's complete and utter bullshit. All I've been seeing for the past 6 months is cheater, 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 cheater. The reason why me and Molly broke up because I got addicted to alcohol.
Which, again, like, I know we've already commented on this podcast, but that is just such a sad thing that he's admitting that he was addicted to alcohol. Whereas from Molly's point of view, she obviously said she didn't feel like he was addicted to it. She said he didn't have an alcohol problem, so that's something that they've obviously butted heads over.
I went through a lot, and my breakup was in front of the whole world. I was talking about on Good Morning Britons and This Mornings and everything like that.
And although I do feel some sympathy for him because he's gone through an experience that nobody else can really help him with, he probably does have a bit more help because his entire family are famous and have probably been through similar scenarios. But when he's talking about it being discussed on This Morning, etc., Tommy didn't actually help himself because he actually featured on This Morning talking about his upcoming book release and how it mentions everything about the breakup. That is one thing that is kind of just ringing alarm bells, because they're saying it's not a PR breakup. And again, I don't believe it is. But Molly May's doing a documentary. Tommy Fury's releasing a book. Like, it is helping them become more famous and more talked about. Which, is that the definition of a PR breakup? I don't know. I feel like I'm changing my opinion as this video goes on, but I just can't see these two breaking up for the intention of being more famous, because they're already famous enough. It doesn't make any sense to me. I do think the way some people have reacted to Tommy talking about his experience is a little bit weird. I saw this TikTok which said when Tommy Fury had to get his word in about the breakup right before Molly's documentary and ruined a major part of it we were looking forward to, men, shut up and let Molly drop the bomb. It's like, well, it is his alcohol problem, so I feel like he is well within his rights to kind of say that. God, will you just shut up about your alcohol problem and let your fiancé talk about it? Always trying to talk, aren't you? Like, I don't really think that's a fair thing to say. You can comment on the things that he's done being wrong, but I feel like if anyone's going to bring up his alcohol problem, it probably should be him. And I feel like he should have probably done it earlier to combat all these rumours. But obviously, from his own mental health, he probably didn't feel strong enough to do it until the very last moment, like I've mentioned. And one thing that still baffles me is, you know, if you've watched this documentary, you've got to feel empathy to a certain extent for these people that are going through a very real issue. Whereas the girl who has caused so much drama for Tommy Fury and fueled so many cheating allegations, Katie Robertson, is still making videos on the situation.
The person who is a celebrity is not going to go on an interview, on a documentary and say, oh yeah, by the way, I did break up with her because I cheated. It's like if I was Beyonce, I wouldn't go on and say, oh yeah, by the way, I broke up with him because I cheated. Like, she just gets so much hate.
It's just, that's all I've got. Just icky. Like, why are you so adamant about lying about this? Just give it up. This is your entire brand. Like, you've seen, there's like a child and everything involved here. Stop making this about you. We don't care. Stop. I know me even including her just brings more attention to her, but this is the very last thing I'm going to say on this person. And I feel like the best way to make this person stop making things about herself is just not interacting with her content. That's the one killer. Giving likes, sharing it, comment on it, just drives more engagement, which feeds the algorithm. The best thing you can do is just ignore it. And I know I haven't ignored it, but I'm just trying to put my 2 pence in there. Because this woman is just desperate. Absolute desperation, man. Where? Surely you've got something else. Surely. And that's basically the end of this video, guys. Let me know what you thought about the documentary or what you've saw in this video. If we get 8,000 likes on this video, I will cover the remaining 3 episodes when it comes out. Just let me know if you want that so I can get a gauge of interest. But overall, I just hope that these two kind of find their way. If that's whether they're together or they're single, I just hope that they are both happy and can provide the best life possible for Bambi, their daughter, because she doesn't deserve to, you know, have any reduced happiness because of this situation for the remainder of her life. I just really feel like this kind of hits close to home, this video. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. If you want to see any previous video from me, click this video right here. Go on, enjoy yourself, you deserve it.